Yes, President Donald Trump is beginning the second day of his four-day visit to the Middle East. He's expected to meet Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, along with other Gulf leaders. Now, this comes a day after he announced the lifting of US sanctions on the war-torn country. Trump said he wanted to give Syria a chance at greatness. Hashim al-Habara reports from Riyadh.
A royal welcome for US President in Riyadh. Escorted by guards riding Arabian horses all the way to the royal palace. Members of the Saudi royal family, government officials and military officers lining up to greet him. Business tycoons representing the biggest US tech companies, including Elon Musk, Jensen Huang and Sam Altman, joined a long line of CEOs eager to cement trade deals. Donald Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman overseeing the signing of hundreds of billions of investments. They both joined a forum for Saudi and American business with a tour of Saudi Arabian projects.
Mr. President, I am confident that today we are building the foundations of cooperation and trust between our two countries. What we have signed today is part of a greater desire to benefit from opportunities for collaboration and exchange, and to work together, Mr. President, not only in the area of economic cooperation, but also on security and peace in the region and the world.
Then, the main speech of the evening. Trump continuing to heap praise on the Saudi Crown Prince.
Thank you.
He paused and then said his administration was axing American sanctions on Syria.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important function, nevertheless, at the time. But now it's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. We're taking them all off.
Trump's decision is a major breakthrough, likely to pave the way for other Western countries, and especially the EU, to do the same thing.
If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very...
The American president said he wants a deal with Iran, but insisted Tehran will never acquire a nuclear weapon. What's still to be discussed after the evening's formalities concluded? The kingdom wants a security pact with the US, and Washington wants the Saudis to normalize relations with Israel. Riyadh has repeatedly said that's off table until a Palestinian state is established. But this day was primarily about deal-making, and the Saudis say it's money worth spending. The kingdom is looking to diversify its oil-based economy. Officials here hope deals with the US will bring more American capital and advanced technology into the kingdom to help them achieve that. The Saudis know there's no one in the region who can match their financial and political clout, and this is why they want to shape the outcome of many of its conflicts and help solve some of its decades-old disputes. And they strongly believe this could be their moment. Hashim al-Habara, Al Jazeera, Riyadh.
Syria's foreign minister says the planned lifting of US sanctions marks a new start in the country's path to reconstruction. Imran Khan reports from Damascus, where people have been celebrating Trump's announcement.
Another historic night in a country that has seen many in the last 5 months. As soon as the news came out, people started to gather here in Umayyad Square. The lifting of the sanctions is a relief. The sanctions were brutal and crippling towards people. They decimated the economy. No money could get in, no money could get out. Now things are going to be different, and that's what these people are saying, that they are going to have a chance to get an economy, to get jobs, and this is welcome. Now, there are still issues to take into consideration. This isn't going to happen overnight, but try telling the people here that today they are very happy. Let's hear from a couple of them.
First, we want to thank the KSA and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, we want to thank President Trump.
I love you, Trump. I love you. I love you.
And President Erdogan and Qatar, without forgetting, of course, President Ahmed al-Sharaa. Just look at the joy the people are feeling. Today, he is one of us, a president we're proud of.
We may disagree with Trump on a couple of things, but today he's made the right decision in lifting the sanctions. It needs a fresh start, Syria and the Syrian people as a whole.
The Syrian Foreign Ministry have issued the first official reaction, saying this is a chance to reset the relationship between America and Syria after years of war. They say that this will be built on mutual self-respect and shared interest. That idea of shared interest is, I hope, that American investment will come to Syria. Now, this is going to go on into the night, but the announcement has already been welcomed by regional partners like Lebanon, like Jordan, and also the Syrians have been very, very clear to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Damascus.
Well, Saudi Arabia also agreed to a substantial weapons deal with the US. Our White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett has more from the Saudi capital.
The U.S. president is trying to get $1 trillion in investments to create jobs in the United States and also to see that free flow of investments between the United States and Saudi Arabia. The Crown Prince said he was more likely to spend about $600 billion investing in U.S. defense, but already we've seen that number is moving upwards. We know already that there's been investment in artificial intelligence, something that Saudi Arabia is already very big in. We've heard that there will be autonomous vehicles driving in Saudi Arabia as early as 2025 this year, and Uber, the CEO of Uber, making that announcement. We also know that there is a $2 billion investment in infrastructure here in Saudi Arabia with U.S. firms. There's also been Google, Oracle, Salesforce, cutting-edge technology that is going to be invested in both countries to the tune of about $80 billion. And we also know that there's been a purchase of U.S. technology of more than $142 billion when it comes to a defense partnership. So that dollar figure is continuing to move up with the Saudis purchasing the kind of technology from the United States that Donald Trump is hoping to deliver on for the American people.
Let's bring in James Bays now. He's Al Jazeera's diplomatic editor, joins us here on set. James, another busy day ahead of us with Trump's movement from Saudi Arabia to here in Qatar. In Saudi, he's been headlining, hasn't he, with the developments on Syria. And of course, today, we're expecting him to meet Syria's leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa.
Yes, and that meeting we think will take place on the sidelines of the summit that's taking place of the Gulf Cooperation Council, but other leaders are invited, and President al-Sharaa is one of those leaders. And of course, this follows the announcement in that speech that President Trump made a few hours ago that he's lifting all the sanctions on Syria, exactly what President al-Sharaa wants. The economy still is very, very fragile in Syria. The country is still reeling after 54 years of repression and torture under the Assad regime. And we've had some clashes. It's been much more peaceful, I think, than many people thought the end of the Assad regime would be. But there's still been some difficulties. And the point the Syrian government makes is if you want us to have a new start in Syria, a new stable Syria that is a partner for the rest of the region, then those sanctions needed to be lifted. They have been lifted. President Trump saying this gives the Syrian people a chance at greatness.
Yeah, so certainly he's caused developments to be happening there in that country. Now, when we look at his visit here in Qatar, should we expect any, not similar, but any developments at all to be over Gaza?
Well, I think he'll come under pressure at that GCC meeting taking place in Riyadh on Gaza. I think everyone there has the same view that there needs to be a ceasefire and that the Netanyahu government is deliberately prolonging the conflict. And also we've had here in Doha meetings in recent days. We've had Mr. Witkoff, Steve Witkoff, who is the envoy for President Trump on a number of issues, but certainly on the Gaza ceasefire. President Trump put a ceasefire in place, imposed in many ways a ceasefire just before his inauguration, even before he was president, and yet that ceasefire doesn't exist now. And it's interesting, when he spoke about Gaza in that speech a few hours ago, he said the people of Gaza need a better future, but no reference of the ceasefire or what's been going on. There's even been an Israeli delegation here in Doha in recent hours. Is there something he's waiting to tell us, or is there no progress whatsoever? Certainly he'll be under pressure, I think, from everyone he speaks to in Riyadh at the GCC, and when he comes here to Qatar, because Qatar has been a mediator in this process along with Egypt since the very beginning, to try and move this forward. And we do know that the US have some of their own proposals on humanitarian aid, using military contractors to deliver aid. That's something that much of the international community, and certainly the humanitarian community and the United Nations, don't favour at all, because they say that's not the way these things are done. They need to be done in a neutral way, and they say the best way of doing it is using the UN and established humanitarian system.
And if we look forward to Thursday, we are expecting some sort of meeting on Ukraine. We don't know exactly who's going to be meeting whom at the moment. Any indications as to who's going to be going to Turkey?
So let's just be absolutely clear. President Trump, according to his schedule, is now in Riyadh, about to fly to Doha, and then, having spent the day in Doha on Thursday, he's supposed to go to Abu Dhabi and the UAE. Separately, there are talks, we hear, potentially going to take place in Turkey, in Istanbul, between Ukraine and Russia. Remember, it was President Putin who proposed these talks in the first place. President Zelensky, we know, is going to be in Turkey. He's going to meet President Erdogan in Ankara, ready to fly to Istanbul if President Putin turns up. And President Trump has added to that, saying that if all of them are there, if Zelensky and Putin are there, then Trump will come too. We don't know what the Russian position is on this. Is Putin going to fly to Istanbul? I think many observers would say Putin doesn't respond to this sort of pressure, but we'll see. It is very interesting. We don't really know where President Trump is going after Qatar. He should be going to UAE, but there is a possibility, probably unlikely possibility, he will divert to a really important diplomatic event, a meeting face-to-face between Putin and Zelensky.
There's plenty to be watching out for. James, many thanks indeed for coming in.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.